நம்முடைய ஜெனீவாவில் ஐநா மனித உரிமை ஆணையத்துடைய பிரதான செய்தி தொடர்பாளர் ரூபர்ட் கால்வெல் அவர்கள் இருக்கிறார். இந்த தீர்மானம் குறித்து ஐநா மனித உரிமை ஆணையத்துடைய கருத்து என்ன கேட்போம். Are you happy about the resolution that has just been adopted by the United Nations Human Rights Council?
Yes, definitely. We warmly welcome the resolution. I think it's very good news that it was adopted by consensus. There was no vote. Nobody voted against it. And in fact, by the end, there were 25 co-sponsors, which is a very high number. And of course, that included, very importantly, that included Sri Lanka itself. So I think that's a really terrific result, and we warmly welcome it.
One view is that the resolution is some way deviated from the High Commissioner's recommendation on setting up a hybrid court.
No, I would disagree strongly with that, because I think it's very clear in the resolution. It basically welcomes all the recommendations and recommends that the government of Sri Lanka helps implement those recommendations. So it includes all of them. And it doesn't use the word hybrid in connection with the court anymore. But what it describes is effectively the same thing. It's a court which would be presumably based in Sri Lanka itself, with major Sri Lankan participation, but a significant international component as well. And it spells it out in the report: judges, prosecutors, investigators from the Commonwealth or other foreign judges.
You believe there is no deviation from the High Commissioner's recommendations?
No, not in the substance. The language is softened a little bit, if you like, and its tone is very welcoming, and I think that's merited. I mean, the Sri Lankan government's been very cooperative, which is a stark difference from the situation just 1 year ago.
There is some skepticism on the use of the words foreign, inclusion of the Commonwealth. These raise some doubts.
Well, I don't see why, because if you put Commonwealth and foreign together, you effectively are calling any international judges. The key will be not so much whether it's, those kind of terms don't matter so much. The key will be the quality of the people and what the international judges, prosecutors, investigators will bring, whether they're Commonwealth or other from other countries, is experience of international justice, international crime. So this is a very specific type of international legislation, which is not in Sri Lankan system itself has no experience of dealing with this, and nor do many other countries. So I think one shouldn't get too hung up on particular terms like hybrid or foreign or Commonwealth or whatever. Certainly there are plenty of good judges, prosecutors, investigators in Commonwealth countries, no question about that.
But the fear is that Sri Lanka will end up bringing judges from countries like Pakistan, which are favorable to Sri Lanka in some way.
Well, again, I don't think one should look so much at the country of the judge. It's the judge.
That's true.
It's the quality of the individuals that's going to be crucial, and of course there will be great scrutiny of that. I think that will be key. That the personnel are very good and very strong and very principled, and the whole point of this court is that it should be very fair, very impartial, and not subject to any kind of political pressures or whatever, whether they're on national basis, international basis.
What will be the role of the High Commission, the Office of the High Commissioner, the process of the implementation of this resolution?
Well, at this point it's a bit early to say precisely, but the resolution very clearly spells out that the states expect the High Commissioner's Office to be involved, helping Sri Lanka to carry this through. And obviously we were very happy to do that. It's been a very long haul to reach this point. It's been 6 years since the end of the war. There were periods where it looked like we would never have this kind of result today. But of course now, in a sense, the real work begins. Now you have to start to have really concrete changes. And it's a very, very big task. Just to set up a court of this type. Of course, the court is not the only aspect either. You have a truth and reconciliation entity that needs to be created. You have the resolution spells out the need for reparations for victims, for truth-seeking, and efforts to make sure these kind of violations never occur again in Sri Lanka. So it's a very, very big task. It's very all-embracing, but extremely encouraging that we've reached this point, and we've reached it with real international consensus. That's great. I mean, that means the world is really backing this process now fully, 100%.
What is your appeal to the government of Sri Lanka?
Well, I think to continue to cooperate, to act quickly as they can in terms of all the kind of processes that now need to start taking place in terms of, drawing up national legislation, to, as spelled out in the resolution, in a number of areas there would need to be national legislation, and to continue to show the cooperative spirit they've been showing in the last few weeks and months. And I think one must commend the government, because it is really a huge sea change from what we saw previously. Previously we've seen very bitter debates here in the Human Rights Council, very fierce, very unpleasant scenes in this
and those
building
elements are
even.
still active in Sri Lanka, and there is very strong criticism to the Sri Lankan government for co-sponsoring this resolution. Do you think the present Sri Lankan establishment has the political will to overcome those challenges and implement this resolution in entirety?
Well, I certainly hope so. And I think, yes, clearly, there are extremes on both sides, actually.
That's true.
And very extreme voices who will accept no compromise, except what they've been calling for the last few years. But I think, let's hope the great majority of Sri Lanka sees this as really a golden opportunity. And if you feel the atmosphere here surrounding Sri Lanka, it's so different from what it was before. So it is a great opportunity to really deal with the past, deal with what's happened, but also look forward. Look forward to a much more positive future. And of course it's essential that the strains that are still there in Sri Lankan society can be very much diminished by these processes that are laid out in this resolution. The reconciliation, the fact that people see justice start to be done, that both sides see many people in Sri Lanka have suffered hugely, whether they're Sinhalese, whether they're Tamil, Muslims, many people, many crimes that have gone unpunished, not even recognized in many cases. So that's a process of healing, and I think people, the victims in particular, but hardly anyone in Sri Lanka has been untouched by this to some way or other. This can be really a major thing for the whole country, and a very healing process. But it will not be easy. I mean, we shouldn't underestimate the difficulties that remain.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
You're very welcome.